welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a series I want to read in 2021 video. Now there are a lot of series that I want to read that I've already started in 2020. I'm not going to be counting these in this video. Those are just going to be series I want to continue with. These are going to be series that I want to start brand new this year. I'm going to start with what I think is the most popular ones. And the first ones are the Acotar series by Sarah J. Maas. I just got all the copies finally, so I cannot wait to start this soon. But I want to read all the books, so A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Frost and Starlight. I want to read all of these this year. I know the next book is coming out this year sometime, maybe February or March. I'm going to wait until it comes out in paperback and then I'm going to purchase it. But I really want to read this series. It seems like it's very much up my alley and something I think is going to be very much like the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. And I really like the Cruel Prince series and I like the themes and the way that it's set in like a earth-feeling world but with magical creatures. And I hope that this is going to be the same thing. So I don't know much about most of these series, they're just series I want to read, but I'll try and give you a synopsis. I'm pretty sure this is about somebody who hunts wolves and one day kills a wolf who was actually a fae. I don't know. And then of course, because she has done that, she has to answer to the fae court. Is that got a specific name? And then I believe there is somebody called Tamlin who annoys the hell out of her, or she falls in love with. I can't quite remember. I don't know if it's specified. I don't want to look. But I've also heard a lot of negative things about this Tamlin, and I always thought people were talking about Tamlin from the Cruel Prince series, but they were not. And I'm now very intrigued to know why everybody hates Tamlin so much. So that is something I'm very excited to get into. Also coming from Sarah J. Maas this year, I would like to read the Throne of Glass series. Now I only own the first two, but my plan is actually to read this entire series this year. There is a Throne of Glass read-along happening called the Tog-along, and I'm going to partake. So this month we are reading The Assassin's Blade, so I will be reading that. And then I own February's read, Throne of Glass. I'm a little bit worried about this series because even though I love fantasy, I much prefer like a Cruel Prince type fantasy than a high fantasy like this. As a teenager I could understand it, but now I'm just kind of like over my head, not quite getting it. So I'm a little bit worried about my capabilities of reading this, but I hear nothing but good things. And I would be really intrigued to get to know this series and dive myself head in. I know that the last book is like 1,000 pages and something, so it's going to be a dedication to put myself through this, but I am really intrigued to know more. I can't remember her name. Selena Sadothian. And she saves the world of Endovia? Saves it? Don't know. I know nothing. This is useless to everybody watching. But I'm really excited to see where this goes. I've said excited a million times. Got the first two books, so I'm going to at least dedicate myself to these two and see if I want to continue from there. Okay, now that Sarah J. Maas is out of the way, there is another series I would like to start, and I have already started, but I started it this month, so I feel like it counts to this video because it is still 2021. And that is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerri Maniscalco. Now I read Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco last year and it was my second favourite book of the year. I adored it, I cannot wait to reread it, I thought it was amazing. And her writing style in that was something else, to be honest. So I really wanted to get my hands on Stalking Jack the Ripper and see if I really loved her writing style. I have already read this and I tabbed it almost as much as Kingdom of the Wicked. I really enjoyed this, I gave it 4 stars. This series follows, I can't remember her name already, I have a problem, Audrey. And Audrey is trying to uncover the mystery of who Jack the Ripper is while trying to also train with her uncle to be a mortuary technician. I believe that's what they're called. And she just has this thing, she really likes dissecting bodies post-death. And she has her uncle also has another assistant and they kind of join forces, and I believe they continue throughout all of the series. So I have the next book, Hunting Prince Dracula. I believe this is a 4-book series with a middle novella, which is not available in hardback, it's just like an ebook. But I'm really excited to go from this to this. They are very different in size. There's like 100 more pages in this one. So I'm really excited to get some more content because I felt like we were just lacking a little bit in this one and it was super short. So very intrigued to get into this one. Hoping to finish this whole series and maybe read like one a month. So I'll be done by April. I need to remember my months. This was something I really wanted to get into now that I know about Carrie Maniscalco's writing and how she's definitely an author for me. So I'm glad that I've already made that jump into this and have started. I feel like I'm actually going somewhere with this year's goals. Another series that I'm really interested in reading, but I'd heard better things before I bought it, and now since buying it I've heard mixed things. That is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I read this and I got to page 44 and I put it down. It took me forever to get to page 44. To be fair, this is a American paperback and there's a lot of words on every page in American paperbacks. Like, it could be like 500 pages, but really it's like 650 and they're really long. So it took me a long time to get through this and I didn't care. It felt like a really cheesy YA and I didn't like it. I've never seen the TV show, but I wasn't giving up after 44 pages. I thought, right, no, I'm going to continue next year when I feel ready to pick this up again. So this is something I do want to dive into this year. I believe it is a trilogy, but I'm going to just see how this first book goes as to whether I want to continue this or if it's just something I'd much rather in TV format. And I like that the option is there to me. So yeah, the All Souls trilogy is something I'm very interested by. It is about a witch who studies at Oxford University and she's obviously trying to keep her witchery on the down low. But one day she meets a vampire and I'm pretty sure they fall in love, but maybe I'm wrong. But it's a witch and a vampire. Of course it's going to happen, I'm sure. But I really enjoy the concept of this. Unfortunately, I didn't enjoy the first 44 pages of execution, but that might have just been the timing and we will see if that changes in my next read. I really hope it does. Number one, because I spent a lot of money on this book, and number two, because it just sounds very much my cup of tea. But I have found myself going through this YA problem recently where I'm really struggling to find myself entranced by YA, and I'm finding myself wanting to be more challenged by adults, especially adult fantasy, and I think I'm like on that cusp of YA not being for me anymore, and I would really like to get as many YA reads in as possible before I lose that love for it, because I really do love YA and I'm sad that I think that's happening to me. Maybe new adult is like where I'm going into, not quite adult yet, but we'll see. I have high hopes. I just think it was a wrong time and I need to try this again this year. I've just realised that this is pretty much all fantasy bar one, so let's do the no fantasy a minute to like take a break. And that is Get a Life, Chloe Brown, which I believe is like the Brown Sisters trilogy, and the third one is coming out this year, so this counts as a series now. Well, I mean, it counts as a trilogy, but to me a trilogy is a series. I have been meaning to read this for my hyped romance vlog for probably about 5 months. I had it on ebook and then I was very lucky enough to get the physical book, so I thought, right, that'll push me into reading it a bit faster, but no, apparently not. This is an adult romance and I've heard there's some steamy scenes, so that excites me a lot for this book, that I'm not going to be reading YA, because there's a lot of YA I want to read this year, as I said, to get through some. So I'm very excited to take a break from the YA section and get a bit more adulty. So this is something I'm really intrigued by. It is about Chloe Brown, who is a very good goody two-shoes girl and does everything by the rule, until she gets bored of that life and she realizes she's done nothing, and she creates a bucket list to be a little bit more bad. I mean, some of it's not bad, it's like skydiving and stuff, but she does want to just like bend the rule book a little bit, especially her personal moral compass. And she meets a man who, he's like that typical biker dude with a leather jacket and so considered bad by stereotype, and so she gets him to assist her in her new rule-breaking ways, or not even rule-breaking, but for Chloe. And yeah, I believe it's about them falling in love, and I'm just excited about that. It's nice and short. It's like 350 pages, and I think it's going to be a really nice read, a nice change of pace, and I'm intrigued by the whole series. I think there's been really good reviews for every single one of them, And I haven't really heard too many bad things at all, and any bad things I've heard seem to be like personal gripes with tropes and stuff, and not having like a negative reflection on the actual book. So I'm really intrigued by this one, and apparently this is the only non-fantasy book on this list. The next book that I would like to read is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon and the rest of the series. I know the new one is coming out this year, I believe February. The Mime Order, I think. Basically, I read The Power of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon in 2020, and it was hard. That is an adult fantasy, and it is huge. It is 800 pages, and that's probably not a lot for a lot of adult fantasy readers. You're probably thinking, yeah, that's not much, hun. You're about to get on a journey, and I'm sure I am. But it was a lot for me, and it was a lot to take in, a lot to process. And I thought that the writing was really good, but I could only give it a 3.5 because the confusion was so much. But I really wanted to try more from Samantha Shannon. And so I thought this would be a good one because my friend Catherine really likes this series, and she says it's fantasy, but it's more dystopian than high fantasy. So that makes me think I might be able to cope with it a bit better. And it's great for my journey of transitioning into adult fantasy because the glossaries in these things are so confusing, and I end up rereading them so many times to try and make sense. I'm learning, I'm trying, okay, I'm getting there. So this is a book that I'm going to take one by one and try the first book before I go into the rest of the series. Now, I do not know much about this book in general. I believe it's something about clairvoyance, which I don't know what that means. God, I'm so dumb. Being illegal, and those of you who commit that crime must go underground to live, and so an underground rebellion system has formed of people trying to escape. That sounds fabulous. And then I think there's another perspective of somebody who it has a power or something, and they're hiding it from their father, and they travel through Londons or something. I've literally picked up like the bare minimums of this book before wanting it because I thought it sounded really, really good, and I haven't seen that many people talk about it since. Even though it's a really popular book, it seems to have been neglected on the booktube side, in my opinion, at least from what I've watched and seen. The next book series is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Now, I'm sure you've heard everybody and their mother discussing this book. It is everywhere. And I did not realise that it was like released so long ago. It was like 2016, I believe. And everyone's just talking about it now, or 2018. And everyone's only now talking about it from what I've seen in the last few months, now that all the new books are published. I'm torn on this book. Now, I hear nothing but good things, but it doesn't sound interesting to me. It does not sound interesting at all. It doesn't sound like something I'm going to like. But everybody gives it good reviews, and everybody says it is worth your time, and that it is really, really good. And so I thought, you know what? I know I said I wasn't going to read books that I didn't like the sound of this year, but I feel like I'm missing out. Like, I am having FOMO with this book. And so I was like, I want it anyway. I don't care. Like, I'm going to read this, and I'm really excited about reading it. And it was like one of my highest anticipated because of this. Isn't it weird what BookTube can do to you? Make you so desperate to read a book. Like, this is one of the most highly anticipated on my TBR for the whole year, even though I don't really care about the sound of it. Like, I don't dislike the sound of it, I just don't care. So I'm just really shocked. Like, it showed me the power of BookTube, and I'm really happy that BookTube is making me read books that I would never pick up on my own. And the final book is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Once again, know nothing about this book. All I know is that it's based on this girl who has to thieve from markets, and it is based in Cairo, and she just wishes to get out of there, and then one day she does. And then she regrets her wish. So I'm assuming she has to go somewhere on some sort of mission or something that is not safe. This is a long boy, and I believe it is once again a trilogy. So I'm really putting myself into a lot of fantasy trilogies this year, honestly. Like, what am I doing? I'm really testing myself and seeing what I'm capable of this year for sure. It's going to be a long one, but I've heard a lot of good things about the entire series. I've heard really good things. A lot of my friends have given this a 5-star and said that it is amazing, so that really excites me. And I believe I'm reading this next month with my friend Jade, so I'll be getting to it super soon, which is kind of the aim with all of these, is to start them at the beginning of the year in the next like 2-3 months, so that I can decide what to leave at one book and want to continue, and then plan my schedule from there, because there are a lot of series here with a lot of books in them, especially like Throne of Glass and stuff, where I have a lot of books to get through and they get bigger every time. So that is it for the book series that I want to read in 2021. I wanted to keep this video nice and short, so I didn't give too much information on these books. But if there is a book that you think I need to prioritize for a series, and you think that I need to start that straight away, then do let me know down below. I think this is going to be a very interesting year reading wise for me, because I'm taking a lot of new risks, and that is what I want. I want to trust the power of BookTube and the opinions of other people and read what they recommend. And so that is what I'll be doing this year, and hopefully finding some new favourites in these series. So yeah, let me know which one I need to read first and prioritise, and I shall do so. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.